The starter is presented in Chicago by Frenchman Sandro Gamba. It's a crab salad Napoleon comprised of a creamy crab mixture separated by thinly sliced toasted bagel. The main course is served in Seattle, Washington. Tom Douglas offers a hefty dish of potato gnocchi with chanterelle mushrooms and basil on roasted tomato sauce. The dessert is done by François Payard in New York. It's a delicate lemon tart garnished with lemon slices, mint leaves, and glazed with melted apricot jelly. The high-end restaurant in the Park Hyatt Hotel in Chicago is called NOMI. The chef de cuisine is Sandro Gamba. Born in France, he trained and worked under Alain Ducasse, Joel Robuchon, and Roger Verger, fast becoming the holy trinity of culinary mentors. Here is Chef Gamba's crab salad Napoleon.
So I'm going to do a crab Napoleon, who is pretty successful dish in our restaurant. So I'm going to slice some bagel chips. If you have any slicer at home, slicer machine, it can be much more easier for you. And I'm going to cook them in the olive oil, make them very crispy. Put two like this.
The crab salad will include some diced red bell pepper.
I'm going to make some zest of lemon. Some zest of lime. This, I'm going to add a little chive. This, I'm going to add my crab meat in the vegetable. This, add some fresh cream. A little mayonnaise. This. And I'm going to make them very delicate for don't break the crab meat.
Diced tomato and chopped chives. Diced avocado.
This. I'm going to season the avocado with some pepper, a little salt, and olive oil. This. Now I'm going to slice some cucumber. This is going to be on top of my crab sandwich. I'm going to take some baby tomato, cut them in half. Okay, so I'm going to finish it my crab Napoleon. I put one slice of bagel chips. This. Second slice. Some crab meat. And put on top my cucumber. Like this. I'm going to put that on top of my crab sandwich.
The avocado dice.
Finishing the plate, I'm going to put some leaves on serpil. This. Some very good olive oil, the best you can find. It's very important. And some balsamic vinegar.
The Dahlia Lounge in Seattle is one of 3 restaurants owned by Tom Douglas. He's a busy guy. His cookbook, Tom Douglas's Seattle Kitchen, won the Beard Cookbook of the Year in 2001. Assisted by Chef Shelley Lance, they offer one of the book's recipes, described by Cook's Magazine as irresistible, potato gnocchi. Shelley Lance starts the gnocchi by running baked potato flesh through a food mill.
When the potatoes are milled, I'm going to put them in a bowl. And I have 3 eggs that I'm just going to mix enough to blend them.
Note that there was butter in the bottom of the pan that the potatoes were milled into.
And I'm going to work the egg into the potato. The gnocchi is like a lot of doughs where there's a certain aspect of it that you do it by feel. It's hard to give really, really exact measurements. Different potatoes really vary. So I work the eggs until I get a nice creamy mass. Then I start working the flour. This amount of potatoes should take about 2 cups of flour, but like I said, I don't add it all at once because it can really vary. A lot of recipes that you see for gnocchi boil the potatoes, but we like to bake them because they come out drier. After I get most of the flour in the dough, I like to move it to the counter and it kind of just add the rest of the flour by feel. nice soft dough. It's still warm. So the potatoes were really warm when I started, which seems to make the dough absorb the flour better when they're warm. And these are ready to be formed. And I have a parchment paper here, and I put a little flour on it so the gnocchi doesn't stick. If you don't have parchment paper, you could just use wax paper or even a dish towel or something. And I tend to use just enough flour to keep things from sticking. I flour my cutter. I flour my board a little bit. I cut the gnocchi into strips so that it forms a nice little log. Let's do one more. So after I cut it, it's already almost a log. That way, I don't have to handle it too much. I try to minimize the handling of the gnocchi dough, and that way it doesn't come out gummy. There's a more traditional gnocchi decoration that you use your thumb with, but for ease, we just make a little cut with the board cutter. And then we just cut them into gnocchis.
Now Tom Douglas finishes the dish. Peeled and seeded Roma tomatoes start the roasted tomato sauce.
We're using about a pound here. Whole cloves of garlic.
Sprigs of thyme.
This is going to get roasted in a 500-degree oven. And the idea is to caramelize some of the sugars from the garlic, from the tomatoes. We're going to add a tablespoon or two of tomato paste to it. Pop that right in the oven. Now I'm going to make the chanterelle sauce, which is actually the sauce that's going to go into the gnocchi itself.
Extra virgin olive oil is in the pan.
This is a real simple, something like a beurre blanc. About a tablespoon of garlic. Toasted pine nuts. I want to cook my garlic, but not necessarily brown it in this particular. And that's just a dry white wine. This sauce is meant to be made right when you're going to serve your gnocchi, so I had Shelley make the gnocchi for you because she's the best. She makes the lightest, fluffiest gnocchi I've ever tasted in my life. So there's Shelley's gnocchi. You want to use about 10 or 12 for a portion, maybe 14. A little salt and pepper. I'm going to finish this off with a little lemon zest. You don't want to cook your lemon zest too much. You want it to still be fresh. So we're just going to melt it down. You need just a little more wine in there. When the gnocchi start to boil, they'll rise to the top. We want to add our basil leaves, about 10 or 12 per person. One of the keys to the gnocchi is to use those dry Eastern Washington potatoes. They're really, the desert area potatoes have less moisture, so they take less flour, and they make for a much lighter gnocchi.
The tomatoes are out of the oven and are put in a food processor.
Place it on the bottom and put your gnocchi and your mushrooms. just sprinkle a little fresh grated Parmesan cheese on top. And around the edge.
Payard's Pâtisserie and Bistro opened in 1997. Third-generation pâtissier François Payard offers a retail pastry shop as an adjunct to the restaurant. One can peruse his fancy signature cakes, petit-fours, homemade ice creams, and a host of other items, perhaps including this impressive lemon tart. The crust for the tart is a sweet pastry dough.
Voilà. Not too much flour. You make sure the thickness of the tart is the same everywhere. Voilà. Over here we have a bottomless ring. What we do, we just add a little bit of butter on the inside. The butter may help the dough to stick to the ring. We place it on our table, and what we do now, we just roll out over the rolling pin the dough. You place over the ring, and now little by little, we may fold the dough inside the tart ring. We may give a little move to keep like a 1/4 inch of the dough on the top. With a rolling pin, we may cut out the dough and may remove the excess of the dough. Voila. And now, we use a finger and you press down to the bottom of the tart shell. You have to make sure the dough reaches the bottom of it. And if I choose this ring, is to explain to you how to make a beautiful tart, because later on, with this ring, I'll be able to see where is the dough. And you see right now the dough is completely down to the bottom of the ring. That means during the baking time, the edge may don't fail, and the tart be beautiful and straight. We may put on the parchment paper, and we may bake in the oven. Alors before that, what we do is we just to make few little rolls. You can use a knife, you can use a fork. That may help to remove the steam from the tart. Not too much, not too big, because later on we may have the lemon filling. Now what we do, we may bake 180 degrees Celsius, 180 degrees Fahrenheit, for approximately 15 to 20 minutes. We have to bake to a light brown color.
The filling is made with eggs, sugar, lemon juice, lemon zest, and butter.
After the lemon juice,
Then lemon zest.
you know the idea about making simple recipe. Sometimes after, if you like, you can complicate them. But the idea first is to have a very good recipe to start. Voila, and the butter. Alors now what we do, normally in my book I suggest to put everything in a double boiler. Why the double boiler? Because I don't want to cook the eggs. The whole idea, I just want to melt the butter and bring everything to a room temperature. Alors, the double boiler is more safe than what I do right now, but it's a little bit quicker like that. But if you do this way, you have to make sure to remove some time from the heat, because you don't want to cook the eggs. Voila. You see now what we have? We have everything melted. What we want to do, we just want to take back the tart, put the tart in the oven, and pour the batter into the tart. Voila. And everything should fit. Now what we do, we should bake for 8-10 minutes. And it's like a custard. You see right now everything is moving, but we may check. When nothing is shaking anymore, that means the tart is cooked. Alors when it's warm, you just can, if you like, you can remove the ring. Voila.
Apricot jelly is melted as a glaze.
You can find everywhere, a little bit of apricot glaze. Over here, we may use a knife. Alors, the things about the lemon, you don't want to get a big piece, because it's something, if it's too thick, you cannot eat. is more for decoration. It has to be very, very thin. You see this tart? Right now we can serve cold, you know. It's like a real lemon tart.